Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a while since I have put these Disney ears on, but I thought I would film another Disney video. I am really trying to milk my Disney trip for as much as I can. I can't believe it's been a year since I went to Disneyland Paris. I haven't got any plans to go back. Well, I would love to go back and I'd love to go to America, but at the moment, unfortunately, I don't have any plans to do that. But I thought today I would make a video to talk about going to Disneyland Paris with a disability, because that's what I did, and it's obviously a little bit harder to go anywhere with a disability. There's always extra things that you have to think about, and I just wanted to share a few tips and things that I picked up when I went that might make it a little bit easier for you, or that might help you to just know what to expect, what to look out for. I watch a lot of these videos anyway, even though I'm not going. I just think it's really interesting to kind of see all the different adaptations that there are available. So I thought I would use my experiences to pass on to you and hopefully make your trip a bit more easy, stress-free if you are planning to go. So grab yourself a drink, relax, chill out, and I hope you enjoy hearing some of my tips for travelling to Disneyland Paris with a disability. I guess I should start by saying that obviously every disability is going to be different. People are going to have different limitations, different things that they need adapting. So the things that I say may not be relevant to everybody. Some people might need different types of help. This is just stuff that I've learned from my point of view, and so, you know, any kind of other things you might need help with, definitely contact Disney or your travel agent or whoever you're booking with and just see what they can do to help, because I found Disney really accommodating, and, you know, any kind of issues you've got, talk it through with them and try and make it as easy as possible. But yeah, these are just things from my point of view that hopefully will help a lot of people. So my first tip is that if you're travelling by Eurostar, especially if you're travelling direct to Disneyland Paris, make sure if you need a wheelchair seat that you book it as early as possible. We made, well, I say we made the mistake, we felt like we were booking our seats quite early, but we didn't book them as soon as they were released, and I think that was where we went wrong. There are very few wheelchair seats on a Eurostar train. I've had an argument with Eurostar about this and not really got anywhere, unfortunately. So if you need a space for your wheelchair, I would recommend keeping an eye out and wait until they are just releasing the next lot of seats, and then book your seats as soon as they come out, because they go like that. We booked in the January for going in the September, and there were already no wheelchair seats. So yeah, it just shows how far in advance you need to book. Keep an eye on the Eurostar Twitter, sign up to their newsletters, and just keep an eye when seats are getting released and ring up and book them straight away. If you can't get a wheelchair seat, there are a few different options. Obviously changing the day that you go might help, but that's not always, you know, possible. Sometimes it's possible to go indirectly, so to go from like St Pancras to, I can't remember if it's like Lille or Paris, and then change and do the same coming back, and then you're more likely to get a wheelchair space. What I did was, because I'm able to walk a little bit, we didn't take my electric wheelchair, which I was really gutted about, but we took my manual wheelchair and we booked seats in Standard Premier, which then meant that we could fold my wheelchair up. There's more luggage space, so we were able to put my wheelchair in the luggage space with no problem, and we did it that way. But obviously that isn't suitable for everybody, especially if, you know, you are not able to walk at all. You need that wheelchair space. So I would just, yeah, say again and again, book as soon as those seats come out. Before you go on your trip, I would also recommend looking to see if you could qualify for a green pass or an orange pass. So I qualified for a green pass, which is like this. I'll do some like close-ups and stuff throughout the video. There is also an orange one of these. So the green pass is for permanent disabilities. And there are so many different ones on here. There's like in a wheelchair, a guest without forearms, a guest with a single leg, things like autism, blind, hearing impaired, deaf, if you've got a guide dog or a service animal, if you have difficulty with standing or walking. There's loads and loads of different ones. There's also one on here that says expectant mother. That is for expectant mothers that also have a disability. So those are for the green pass. The orange pass is if you have a temporary disability or if you are pregnant without any other kind of disabilities, and that comes with some of the same benefits, but they're slightly different. So have a look into it, see if you would qualify for either of those, and also have a look on the Disney website, because it will tell you exactly what documentation that you need to bring with you to enable you to get that pass when you get there. I would not have been able to do Disneyland Paris without my green pass. It was an absolute lifesaver. So I would recommend to anybody that has a disability, whether it's temporary or permanent, that you look into it and see if you can make use of it, because it should be really, really helpful. So if you have found out that you are eligible for one of those kind of passes, at the beginning of your trip, when you first get there, take all your relevant documents to somewhere like the City Hall or Studio Services. I think I've heard right, I'm not sure if this is right or not, but you can now also do this in your hotel. And basically you take your documentation to them, say that you are looking for either a green pass or an orange pass for a disability, and then they will talk you through like sorting it all out for you. But you want to make sure you do it basically as soon as you get there, because you're going to use it throughout your trip for rides, for parades, for fireworks, everything like that. So you want to make sure you've got it as early on as possible. But yeah, take all your documentation and everything with you, and then you're not going to have to worry about carrying that around for the rest of the trip. Another little tip to just add on to that one is that when you go to wherever you're going to go to sort out your green or orange pass, make sure that your whole group goes with you. When we went to do it, my mum, my dad and me went to I think it was the Studio Services to try and get it sorted out, and we found out that you can only put people on your pass that are with you at the time. So my two sisters weren't there, and so we couldn't put them on the pass, which meant that we had to then go and find them and come back, and it was just a bit of a faff because we then had to queue again. So for anyone that you want to add to your pass, make sure they come with you when you're going to like get your pass. Because yeah, they can't put you on it if you're not there. So just get the whole group to come with you, and then that's sorted for the entire trip. Something that I found really helpful when I went to Disney is to get a lanyard. I bought my lanyard there. You can always buy one in advance from like eBay or Amazon or whatever and take it with you. But just make sure you've got like a little plastic thing on the bottom of it. So I would put my green pass in it, and also the magic card, which was like my hotel room card, and also for things like dinner reservations and stuff like that. Having them in the lanyard just made life so much easier for me, because I could just like whip it out whenever I needed to show I had a green pass or something, and I didn't have to worry about like rummaging through my bags trying to find it, or trying to find it in like pockets and it getting all crumpled up. And it's just one of those little like energy saver things that made life a lot easier for me. It's also a bit more discreet. So, you know, if you're going around to the disabled entrance or whatever it is, you're not then having to like get your bag out and look through it and everything. You can just lift it up and show it to the cast member, and that's sorted, you know. And it just, I felt it drew a little bit less attention to me, made it a lot easier, and it looks nice as well. You can put your pins on your lanyard and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would definitely recommend buying a lanyard. If you don't want to spend a fortune, get it before you go. But they also have some really, really nice ones at Disney in like the hotel shops and stuff like that. So if you forget one, then you'll be able to buy one when you get there. So if you're staying in a Disney hotel, which is basically one of the hotels that are owned by Disney that's on the sort of Disney campus, you will be entitled to use the extra magic hours, which is basically where the park opens for a certain amount of time in the morning before the rest of the general public can come in. And I would just say, if you struggle with crowds and noise and sort of busy atmospheres, make use of those early magic hours to get a lot of the stuff that you want to have like get done. because it does get very busy. Depending on when you go, like what time of year and stuff, is going to vary. But those extra magic hours, although, you know, there's still quite a few people around because you've got people from all the hotels, it's a lot less busy than it is when like everyone else comes in. So if you want to kind of go on a few rides, take some photos, or just have a little look around without there being loads and loads of people there, I would thoroughly recommend the extra magic hours. What we used to do is we did like the extra magic hours and then we'd come back and have breakfast, so it was actually quieter at breakfast as well, and it was quieter for like getting some nice photos, looking around some of the shops, going on some of the rides. I would say that not all of the attractions are open during the magic hours, and a lot of the like character meets and stuff aren't open until general public come in, but it's a good way of getting a lot of stuff done before everyone else comes in, and then you can maybe go back and have a little rest and then come back a bit later. So something that I did want to add, which isn't directly related to my experience, but I think it's really important to raise awareness of it, and I found this out quite recently through my friend's Facebook group, which is called Disabled at Disney. I'm going to link it down below because there's loads and loads of really useful information that she puts on there. But basically, some families will have something which is called a Genie pass or a blue pass. So instead of having like the green or the orange disabled pass, they will have this pass. And it basically means that they will jump right to the front of queues. They'll possibly go in like special places for parades and things like that. And I know from what my friend has said and what other people have said that some of the families that are using these passes have had quite negative experiences of people's attitudes towards them, people like tutting at them, complaining that they're going first. Actually, the families that are using these passes are generally visiting as part of the Compassion programme. So they'll be visiting with charities like Make-A-Wish in the UK and sort of similar charities in other places. So they will have been given this pass because they have a child who is seriously ill. They may have a terminal illness, they may have been going through cancer treatment, a whole range of different things, but basically they are there on a Make-A-Wish thing to do something nice for the child and their family when the rest of their life is kind of really difficult at the moment. So I think it's just really important to draw awareness to that, because the last thing they need is people, you know, tutting at them and telling them that they shouldn't be cutting the queues and things like that. You know, you don't know what's going on in the rest of their life, and yes, you might have a green pass or an orange pass, but they will get in front of you with their Genie pass. And, you know, I think just smile at them, give them a little wave, tell them to have a great time, just anything that can make their holiday that little bit nicer. And you know, I know some people that use these passes feel embarrassed and they feel like they don't like having the attention drawn to them, that they're getting to go first. But, you know, they've been judged to deserve that. There's a reason why they've got that pass. So I think it's really important just for people to know that there is a reason why some people get to jump to the front of the queues. It's not because they're just pushing in or anything. It's because they may have a seriously ill child with them. So in this video, I'm going to generally refer to the green pass because that's the one that I have more experience with. The orange pass, you get slightly different types of concessions. So rather than maybe jumping to the front of the queue, you might get a time to come back and things like that. But I will give you what information that I know of, and I'm sure there's lots of other information about orange passes around as well. So the first thing that I would say is that if you have a green pass, you can use the disabled entrances to the rides and you don't have to queue. It varies depending on what ride you go on. So some rides do have like a special entrance just for people with the green pass with disabilities. With some of the attractions you have to maybe go through the exit, but usually there is a sign that says like disabled entrance, and you just follow that entrance, and there will usually be a cast member that's like at the end of that entrance who will check your card and make sure that you can ride the ride, that you've got the right help, and you know that you're like got onto the ride and stuff properly. So definitely like keep an eye out, and if you can't see where the disabled entrance is, find somebody to ask. There's a lot of cast members milling around in shops and just around the parks, so just ask, they'll point you in the right direction. I made friends with quite a lot of other kind of families with people with disabilities, and we'd kind of spot each other around, and if we didn't know something we'd just ask them and they might know it. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask. If you go on a ride with a green pass, you can take up to 4 other people with you. So for me that was brilliant because there were 5 of us, so it meant all of us could ride at the same time. Those 4 other people do need to have been there when you got your green pass because they will have been put onto it. So if you have a look on the green pass, I'll do a close-up, but basically it says like attraction and parade, and in attraction there's a little Mickey with a 4 on it, so that means that you have 4 people on your green pass. So you all go to the disabled entrance and you'll get put on. You don't necessarily get to jump right to the front of the queue, so they might do like, if there's a lot of disabled people at once, they'll do a few at a time and just sort of like intersperse you with the rest of the queue, but you shouldn't have to queue for as long as the sort of general public does. So also with the green pass, you can use specifically designated areas for the parades and the fireworks. And for this you can take 2 people with you. So we couldn't like all go to watch the parade or the fireworks together, but we kind of switched, and some days some people would do it and other days other people would do it. For the parade, I think there are like, I know there's definitely, well, there's one disabled space sort of that we went in, which is right by the gates where the parade comes out by the castle. I would recommend still getting there early because we got there relatively early and it was already filling up. So although it is a disabled area, it's still going to fill up. So if you want to get to the front, you still need to get there early. There was still quite a lot of pushing and stuff like that, so you just have to watch out for it. But generally you do get a better view because you don't get lots and lots of people standing in front of you. However, we went in the disabled area for the first time we watched the parade, and actually the second time we watched the parade we decided not to use that area because I wanted to go to the top of Main Street and watch the parade coming up, and actually I feel like I got a better view from up the top of Main Street than I did from the disabled area. So it just depends what you want. For the fireworks, the disabled area is right at the front to the left of the castle if you're looking on. It took us a while to find it and we were a bit late because we'd been eating, but thankfully I was like holding my green pass and a cast member saw us and like got us through and got us into the disabled area, and actually we were right at the front, which was really nice. And again, you could only have 2 people with you there, but you did get really good views. But I would say again, try and get there as early as possible because literally after we got there it started really filling up and there was lots and lots of people behind us, and especially if you're in a wheelchair, possibly not quite so bad for the fireworks because a lot of it's up in the sky, but for the parade it does still make it quite difficult to see. So yeah, I would just make sure, although there are these specialised areas for people with passes, you're still going to need to get there early if you want to have like a really good view. So certainly with the green pass, it also allows you priority access into some restaurants. Now I don't know if this is for all restaurants or if it's just for some of them, but certainly the like quick service counter restaurants, we went into a few. So we definitely went into like Casey's Corner, and we went into Colonel Hathie's Pizza Outpost, and I think this is another reason why having your green badge on a lanyard is quite helpful because cast members can immediately see it. And cast members saw that I had this badge. I mean, I was in my wheelchair anyway, so that kind of gave them a clue. And basically there is a separate queue for people with disabilities and that have passes. So there was quite big queues in both those places, and a cast member found me and took me to the disabled till, which one is lower so that you can actually see the person that's serving you, and 2, there was much less of a queue, so I wasn't having to like, because when there's a lot of people in those restaurants you get really like squished in because there's so many people queuing, and especially if you're in a wheelchair, all you can see is like people's like waists and upwards. So it was quite nice to be taken through right to the front so we could order and then just like go and sit down at a table. Some restaurants also do have tables specifically for wheelchair users and people with disabilities. So certainly at Colonel Hathie's Pizza Outpost, the cast member found us a like specialised disabled place which had space for a wheelchair. It wasn't down any steps or anything like that. So it's definitely worth asking, or like finding a cast member when you go to a restaurant. When we went to sort of like table service restaurants, I don't really remember there being any kind of like provision for people with disabilities, but it wasn't quite so bad for them because you just queued until you were taken to your table, and then you had like the waiters and waitresses coming to your table, so it wasn't quite such a problem. But certainly in the counter service restaurants, it made a really big difference. So if you're planning to look around the shops, which let's face it, who isn't when you go to Disney, one thing that I would really suggest, especially if you struggle with crowds and like busy places, is to look around the shops when there's either a parade or the fireworks on. The first time we decided to look around World of Disney was just after the fireworks had finished, and oh my goodness, I have never seen such a busy shop. I found it really difficult to get around in my wheelchair. I found it difficult to see anything because there were so many people. It was crazy. So after that, we generally waited until like there was a parade or fireworks on or something like that, and the shops were so much quieter. So yeah, definitely if you want to do some proper shopping, wait until it's going to be like a quieter time, because it makes all the difference. You haven't got people like trampling all over you if you're in your wheelchair, and it means you can see better. And I really struggle with a lot of like busyness and noise and lots of people around me. And especially if you've got injuries or whatever and you don't want to get knocked, those quieter times are definitely going to be the better times to go. Also, if you're in a Disney hotel, you can leave your shopping behind the till, and then they will transport it to your room at your hotel, which is really helpful because you don't want to necessarily be carrying around lots of bags. I mean, this is for anyone, not just someone with a disability, but it makes it a lot easier if you've got like a wheelchair to push and like lots of other bits and bobs that you have to carry around with you anyway. Being able to like do your shopping and then leave it, and they'll take your details and send it to your hotel room, just makes life a heck of a lot easier. The only thing I will say is it means that you kind of forget how much shopping you've done until you go back to your room and then realise like, oh, I've done quite a lot of shopping today, because you don't really realise because you don't have all the bags. But definitely make use of that service if you can. So again, with talking about the green pass, if you want to do some character meets, you can actually get there, if you get there early-ish, to whichever character it is that you want to meet. There will usually be a cast member standing there with like a sort of book or something, and if you go up to the cast member, you can book a time slot to come back and see the character. So rather than having to queue, and some of the characters have really long queues, you can just book a time and then come back and you'll get let straight in to see the character then. I don't think this works with some of the characters in the studios that you have to do through the Line Bertie app. I think with them you just have to book the time slot on the app. But certainly with a lot of the characters we saw, like Donald, who else did we see? Minnie Mouse and all that kind of stuff. You could easily go and book a time slot and come back. You do need to get there early though. We wanted to see Winnie the Pooh, and I think we went, it must have been around lunchtime-ish, and all of the slots had already been booked out, so it was either don't see him or queue for ages. And people, I know people kind of sometimes judge you for not queuing, but for somebody with a chronic illness or something, you know, an hour or so of queuing means that they're then going to end up having to go back to their hotel room and they won't be able to do as much of the park. So not having to queue is a really massive help to a lot of people. So yeah, definitely if you want to see a character, get there as soon as the park opens. I don't think you can book those appointments during the early magic hours, because I think we tried to do it and they said you had to wait until it opened to the general public. So yeah, go in as soon as it's open to the general public, go to the characters that you want to see. You might find you get in quickly anyway with some of them, but for the others you can book the appointment and then come back. I think with meeting Mickey, we went and there is a separate bit, like an entrance bit for if you have a green pass or if you've got a disability, and you press a little bell, like a doorbell, and they'll let you through, and you kind of jump around the queues and then they put you in to see Mickey like when there's a space. So it is different for different characters, but I think it's really good to know the sort of different options that are available to just make that queuing experience a little bit easier. Right, so I don't know if this next one applies to the orange pass as well, but certainly on the green pass, if there is an asterisk by the category, it means, well, it says here, an able-bodied companion over the age of 18 is required to go with you. So for example, for a wheelchair guest, for a guest without feet, for a guest without legs, for autism, for a blind guest, so for quite a lot of them you do need to have a carer to go on the ride with you. They won't let you go on it alone. There are also, depending on which category you tick, you may or may not be allowed on some rides. So when I went to get my green pass, I chatted to the cast members about what my disability is and how it affects me. They asked me if I was able to walk at all, which I am a little bit, and in the end we decided for me to tick the guest has difficulty with standing and walking. That one doesn't actually need a carer with you, although to be honest I think I would rather have had a carer with me just in case. But for some of them, like they said, if I tick the wheelchair guest, there are a few rides that they won't let you on because you have to be able to walk a certain distance. So when you go and get your green pass, have a good chat with the people that you're getting it from and make sure that you're ticking the right box, because obviously you want to make sure that you're getting the help that you need, but also make sure that you're ticking the box that allows you to do, you know, all the things that you should be able to do. I know some people think it's unfair that they don't let you ride certain rides or that you have to have a carer with you, but I think that's just going to be how it is. You know, they have to put your safety first, and if a ride breaks down or something, they need to make sure that they're going to be able to get you off. So yeah, and also, you know, if you need a carer with you, then you need a carer with you. I think I would rather have a carer with me and know that if the ride breaks down, I've got somebody that I know that can help me get off that ride, than go on it and then end up stranded with nobody to help me or nobody that knows me to help me. So it's important to like really understand what the green pass is about and what it kind of allows you to do. So this is, I guess, going to be a bit of a general one because I'm not going to go into specifics, but I would say that some rides will allow you to take your wheelchair on. So for example, It's a Small World has a boat that allows you to take a wheelchair onto it. This isn't the same for all rides. You can't take your wheelchair on all of the rides in the park. Some of them you will have to transfer, but they do have things to help with transferring. So for example, they have transfer seats and things like that. So it's worth asking a cast member, you know, how you can get on that ride, whether you can take a wheelchair, whether you're going to need to transfer, are you going to need help. Working that all out before you actually have to go and get on is quite helpful, because then you have planned it and you're not getting there and you've got loads of people watching, and all of a sudden you've got to try and like either work out how to get on it or realise that you can't get on it and have to go away. I don't think, well, I didn't notice in America, for a lot of the rides, they will have outside the ride, they'll have like a cart like from the ride that you can practice transferring on and off of. They don't do that in Disneyland Paris, which I think is a shame because I think it would be really helpful. So it is just a question of like speaking to cast members and asking them before you get on. But yeah, I wish, this is why, one of the reasons why I would love to go back to Disney, because I would quite like to be able to go and try a lot of the rides again and film how you can get on and off each ride, because I think that would be really helpful to a lot of people. So maybe one day if I go back, that is something that I will do, but for now I can only really give you kind of a general idea of sort of the different types of ways you can use the ride. So if you are trying to get onto a ride and it's on like a moving platform, so for example the Buzz Lightyear one is on a moving platform that goes round, the Storybook boat ride is on a platform that goes round, and when I first saw them I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get on them because I'm not going to be able to stand up on the moving platform, let alone try and get on to a ride. But actually the cast members can either slow it down or stop it completely to allow you to get onto it. Actually I think the Buzz ride you can take your wheelchair on as well, so I'm guessing they would stop it completely to do that, but that was really helpful to know, and it doesn't have to be stopped for that long to like get you on and off, and like I didn't have any complaints from anybody else when they stopped it for me. I do know that in Disney with some of the rides they now have like time limits of how long they can like leave it for you to get on and off, which I don't know, I'm not sure if I agree with that. I think that's kind of discriminating against people that are going to take a bit longer, but yeah, certainly for the moving platform ones, just simply stopping it can make it a heck of a lot easier for someone to get on and off. So another tip that I really think is important to share, because a lot of people don't know about it, is to do with the castle, which is like the centre point of Disney. And basically when you go in the castle, if you look up, you will see that there's a balcony upstairs. And there are stained glass windows up there, there's other little bits up there, and you can also go out and see, so like go outside the castle and see over the whole of Disneyland. And I saw that and I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to get up there, I'm so gutted. And then we found out that there is actually a lift that takes you up there. It's quite well hidden, so you might need to ask someone to point it out to you. It took us a while to find it, but yes, there is a lift, so you can get up to the balcony in the castle, and I would definitely recommend doing it because the stained glass windows are beautiful, well worth looking. There's like lots of little things hidden up there to look at, and also being able to get outside onto the balcony and look over the whole of Disney is definitely something that I would recommend doing. And my last tip for this video is to pace yourself, and this isn't just for people with a disability, this is for anybody. It is very, very easy to go crazy at Disney, to just want to do everything all at once, to just carry on and carry on from really early morning to late at night, and to feel absolutely exhausted. And I can understand why people do it. I definitely went overboard, but I think it's really important to just pace yourself. Like, set a goal of what you want to do each day, and then make sure you also set in time to just have some quiet time. So either go back to your hotel and have a rest, go to your local pool, go to your hotel pool and have a bit of a swim, or just go to like a cafe or one of the hotel bars and have a drink and a bit more quiet time. And you'll find, I think, that you will enjoy your trip a heck of a lot more, because you won't be going like 100% all the time. Certainly as we kind of went through our holiday, we tried to slow things down a little bit, and I found I was enjoying it more because I could take things in a lot better because I wasn't quite so tired. And it's really nice, like checking out like some of the like cafe bar type areas. They have so many cool like Disney snacks and things like that, which I really wish I'd sampled more of. So definitely just pace yourself. You don't have to be going at 100 miles an hour all the time, and you know, use your green pass to allow you to, you know, not necessarily have to queue so much, so that you can take those rest breaks without feeling like you're missing out so much. But yeah, just chill out a bit and take in the scenery. I wish I had done that more, just even just wandering around and looking around at like things without necessarily doing anything is something that I really wish I'd done a bit more of. So I think if I ever went back to Disney, I would definitely try and like put some more of that time into my like whole trip. And those are all my tips for today for going to Disneyland Paris with a disability. I'm sure there are so many more tips that I could probably tell you, but those are the kind of ones that I felt were most important or that really kind of helped me. But yeah, do let me know if you've got any other tips for Disneyland Paris with a disability, because I think it'd be really helpful for people to share in the comments, and like share experiences, so that if you are going on a trip, then you're kind of going well armed with all this knowledge and all these tips to help you have the best holiday possible. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more from me, please do give me a like and subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the bell as well, because that will mean you get notified every time I upload a video. Leave me a comment, let me know if there's any other videos you'd like to see. Are there any other Disney videos that I can do? I'm like running out of ideas a bit now, because I feel like I've used my Disney content to the max. But if there are any other Disney videos you'd like to see me do, please do let me know. Or any other videos that aren't Disney related as well. I'm always looking for your suggestions. And I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye!